Fox Sports fans, welcome back to the channel. I told you guys we're bringing bangers to you guys in 2026. We're going back to the land down under for UFC 325 here. A week from today, whenever this video is going to be posted, Jonathan's going to be stepping in the cage to defend home turf against Oban Elliott. But it's awesome to get you on here. We had Cam on a few weeks ago. Cam is a guy that's also defending home turf. Love Cam Rouston. But now we got the captain, Jonathan Micallef, joining us tonight. Jonathan, thank you for joining us, brother. You're on a 17-hour difference, bro, so it's not been easy to get this interview put together. So you guys got to give my man some credit. You know, this is really, really an honor to have you on here tonight, bro.
Thank you, bro. Pleasure's all mine. I love getting on and chopping it up with guys that also love the sport as much as I do. So it's a pleasure. It was a few hoops to jump through for us heading into this, but we got there in the end.
We absolutely got there in the end. And like I said, guys, I mean, he's 17 hours ahead of us right now. It's Friday afternoon where he's at. It's Thursday night where I'm at. I'm going to bed in an hour. So we're making it happen for you guys. So you guys got to subscribe. You got to comment. You got to like. And you got to follow my man on Instagram because he's going to get it done next week. But Jonathan, I start off every single interview off with, man, how are you and your family currently doing, brother?
Honestly, fantastic, man. We've been gearing up the last 8 weeks. The missus is sort of sick and tired of my grumpiness and always being tired, but we're doing good, man. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Australia. It's like almost 30 degrees. We're doing very well. Thank you.
Love to hear that, man. I always start every interview off with that because I think that's what's most important in life. I know I'm a little cranky at times, and my girlfriend gets, or my fiance, I should say, gets a little upset at me. So we got to try to stay strong for the women, man, you know, because if we get cranky, they get cranky too. But I'm glad to hear that you guys are doing phenomenal, bro. That definitely helps you on fight night. You know, if everything's going good outside the octagon, it usually helps you in the octagon on the fight night as well. So I love to hear that for you, bro.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Yeah, exactly what you said, man. Like, although when I get in there, it's just me and the opponent. Sometimes you hear of things going on in the background that get into people's heads. But I'm really truly blessed, man. I've got none of that going on. So when I do step in there, it's just me and the opponent. Kill or be killed.
Absolutely. And that's what we're going to get into right there. I'm glad that you just said kill or be killed because obviously we got to talk about the fight a little bit here. We got some cool rapid fire questions down the road, but obviously you had your successful debut last year at UFC 312, defended home turf, got the easy dub, easy decision there. But I just want to ask you now, man, you know, because for a lot of fighters, you know, it's a real grind to get back to the octagon. You know, if you don't fight, you know, 2 or 3 times a year, it can really take a toll on you mentally, especially training. So I just wanted to ask you, you know, after being out of the octagon now for 11 months, you know, in the UFC canvas, what does it mean to you to finally be stepping back in there next weekend?
It is really awesome, man. I can't wait. You know, I've been rearing to go pretty much all of end of last year. I don't know if you guys are aware or not, but I had a fight booked in against Oban in late of last year, around September, or April. Yep. And Oban had cop pneumonia, and he was unable to make the fight. He had to pull out 2 days out, and that was quite a bit of a tough challenge, especially because it had already been close to 8 months of inactivity up until then. But man, I just kind of look at it now as an extra rep at a camp and at sort of seeing how the UFC run. And obviously, being a newcomer into the UFC, it's sort of good for me to get and feel that. But outside of that, man, it is what it is. I've just gained experience and I'm just going to keep getting better, especially being such a young fighter and quite new to this sport. Every year or month that people wait, I'm just going to get better. So it's going to be harder for them once they do eventually step in the octagon with me.
For sure. And I'm glad you just brought up that you were booked against Oban last September because, like, obviously, you know, you've been out for 11 months, but that isn't on you. You know what happened. And, you know, I'm sure he was actually sick. He's actually a game opponent. I love this fight. I think this could get fight of the night for sure. I think it's an opportunity for guys like you to really show out on the national stage. Starting out on Paramount, they've already done some awesome exclusive things this week. So I can't wait to see what they do for you guys next week. But you said something that I was going to bring up in my next question to you. You said that you feel like it's been an extended camp because, like you said, you were already booked against him, you know, and it just fell through in September, and it was really unfortunate. So, you know, compared to the 9 fights that you've already had in your professional career, how different has it been this time around, just having that extended camp to focus on really just Oban Elliott this whole time?
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a good end to a chapter that's lasted a really long time. And in terms of prep, it's always good to get extra reps in at what you think they're going to do and how you think they're going to approach the fight. But at the end of the day, too, sometimes, man, like you can prepare for a certain guy or a certain night, but it depends on what he decides to bring. So I've sort of stayed on myself and trying to sharpen up all facets of my game. And I guess that's been a big focus. We obviously have a game plan and we have things that we think he's going to do, and we've gotten heaps more reps at doing that. But at the end of the day, man, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to show my best self.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it's an awesome opportunity, especially for you being in front of that home crowd and, just having this national spotlight. I know we got UFC 324, it's Thursday night where I'm at, Friday afternoon where you're at. So that's coming up in the next few days. A lot of eyes are going to be on that, obviously. But, yeah, I mean, that hype's not going anywhere, man. Everybody that's on that card next week is getting the same amount as exposure as the guys that are getting it 2 days from now. So it's a really cool opportunity. I think, especially for a guy like you, it's only your second fight in the UFC, but you're going to have so much, not national spotlight, but global spotlight on you, bro. So that's
Yeah,
really
for
exciting to hear
sure,
that.
bro. And on top of that, like the UFC fans have been starved of a UFC fight for how long's it been now? 2 months, maybe, just under that.
6 weeks.
So, so people are going to be fucking rearing to watch fights, regardless if there's two back-to-back pay-per-view events or not. I know that people are going to be tuning in regardless, probably watching all of the early prelims and the main card, and really just, indulging in as much MMA as they can.
Yeah, and you said it right there. Like, I feel like right now the casual fans, like, they don't really tune into the prelims. Like, you guys are missing bangers, bro. If you're not sitting down for 6 or 7 hours and watching these events, you're missing like the best fights. Just because people are on the main card does not mean that's going to be the best fight of the night. That's why we've got you on here. You're a very talented guy. You're gonna fucking kill it next week. So you guys better tune in for the first fight until Volkanovski and Lopez walk out
Yeah,
because
or at least tune in for mine, guys. It's gonna be a banger. I'm telling you. You got two young, hungry guys. Oban's coming off a loss. He's gonna want to get that back. We've got a little bit of a narrative behind this fight too. Oban pulled out. I talked a little bit of shit. I pissed him off. He's gonna come. He's gonna come with the fire, and I can guarantee I'm coming in with one too.
absolutely. And that's not the promo right there to tune in, guys. Then you need to go watch another sport. Then I don't really know what else to tell you. That's your promo right there. If you don't need any other motivation after hearing that. But Jonathan, since it's like you said, we've had such a long layoff as UFC fans and UFC fighters. We've been starving for action to happen. So what I've been asking all of my fighters that have came on during this awful time period that we've had right now, 6 weeks off, it's been awful, but we've had some awesome interviews. What does an ideal 2026 look like for you?
Man, in an ideal world, I'd love to get 4 fights in. Although that sounds like a lot. For me, I took all of last year pretty much. I've had one fight, and I had the latter half of that year off. So if I can get 4 in, that'd be an ideal, perfect world scenario. But obviously, after fights, the body's a bit banged up. So I'd meet in the middle for 3, and that would be my sort of like meeting point. But anything less, I think, will be quite hard for me. I've got a family. I've got to put food on the table for them. So I'm going to do what I can to come in and come out unscathed and get back into it. Not looking past Oban. I know I've got a massive challenge ahead of me, but my 2026 is potentially 4 fights in, which would be in an ideal world.
That would be sick as fuck. And I think for guys that do hop on interviews and they do tell the UFC crowd, I want to fight 4 times in 1 year. Sometimes we'll look at them and be like, "There's no way you're fighting 4 times this year. Like, there's not a chance." But for you, Jonathan, you did have that year off, and you're on the second event of the year. So that's a very realistic goal, in my opinion, that you're fighting at the end of
Absolutely.
January, beginning of February, I guess, on Australia time. That you could have 4 fights this year. So I love that goal from you. And I think you said it perfect right there. Like, obviously, you're not looking past Oban, but, to get through these fights, to get wins, and to be healthy, you can absolutely have 4 fights this year. And I hope that happens for you, brother. I hope you get a fight over here in the States. That'd be dope to go watch you fight in person. I'm going to get on the road a lot more this year. So I got to get active as well. So I'm not going to be doing 4 fights in the octagon. That's not my job, Let me get on the road. Watch guys like
Yeah.
Jonathan inside the cage for sure. But Jonathan, I was doing a little bit of research on you, man. I think Robert Whitaker is your favorite fighter all time, if I read that correctly. I think I
That's
saw
right,
that.
man. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I did my research. glad we're correct right there. I just want to ask you, obviously he's from, the land down under as well, just like you. Um, Similar weight classes, I guess you could say. Obviously, Robert's been a pioneer of the sport for not only fighters but fans who've watched him over the years. I just want to ask you, what are some things that makes Robert Whittaker different from other UFC fighters that you grew up watching?
Yeah, well, coming up, I think that what sort of separated Rob was that he sort of drew up the blueprint for upcoming and aspiring UFC or MMA fighters in Oz. Before Volk, it was Rob, and Rob was the one who sort of drew the line for everyone. But not just that, as his persona was not just as a tough, a tough, gritty, hard dude from the streets. He's a family man, just a normal guy who sort of dedicated a lot of effort and discipline into MMA, and it's transpired into him having a quite a flourishing career, and he's able to put food on the table for his family. And for me, that's what it is at the end of the day. If I have a family, I'm a family man, and I'm just a normal dude that's got to grind, and I've got some serious discipline to work and a serious work ethic. So I think it's all those things that make Rob Whittaker who he is to me, and that's why I put him up so highly in the sport.
That's awesome. I love that answer right there from you too. And I feel like, unless a fan is just being really stingy or something like that, Robert Whittaker's really a hard guy to hate. I mean, you look at him, he's just a good role model inside and outside the cage. Seems like a very cool guy. You just want to get a drink with. You know what I'm saying, man? Like he's just one of those guys. Like anybody in the world could probably talk to that man and he would treat them the same, whether they've got 100 million followers on Instagram or they got 10 followers on Instagram. So he really is a good guy to role model and look up to, I feel like. So I love that you do look up to Robert Whittaker. I think that's a great role model for not only fighters, but people in general in life. Look at somebody like that because of what he's done. So I like that right there, bro. That's awesome. That's awesome. But Jonathan, I can't let you get off here, bro, without doing rapid fire. I've been telling Jonathan off camera some things that we're going to be doing going forward. We're going to change some stuff up on the channel. But right now, we still got the rapid fire stuff, and we got some bangers for you right now. So, Jonathan, we've been talking a lot about UFC 324s this weekend. Next week it's UFC 325. There's two guys, one's on each card, and they've been having a little bit of beef lately. I just watched the press conference a few hours ago with UFC 324. You obviously had Patty and Justin up there at the rest of the card. I just want to ask you, your thoughts on Patty Pimblett and Dan Hooker's beef. I think it's kind of weird beef. I know a guy that was sitting beside Patty Shimrock whenever they talked to each other. It seemed like they were getting along well. They had a great conversation. And then all of a sudden, it all blew up on social media. Patty was talking about how he couldn't even get a rapist, or Dan couldn't get a rapist off him trying to grapple his mom or something like that. I just wanted to ask you, what you thought of the random beef there. Obviously, with Dan being, a guy that's on the card next week with you and your nationality.
Yeah, look, man, I think that's really out of pocket. Like to say something like that to a dude like Dan Hooker, he's a dude from the street. You know what I mean? Dan's a tough dude. He doesn't fuck around. I don't know, man. I would have to side with Dan there just because that is an out of pocket statement just to put on someone in a random interview. But look, Paddy's just one of them. Look, he clowns around. He fucks around a little bit. But I think that if Dan was to see Paddy, that's probably going to be on site.
Yeah, I would agree too. And I think that's something that's weird about with me because I love both fighters. It's rare with me, having the channel I have that I dislike fighters. I do have a very small list. I'm not going to name who they are, but they haven't gotten any DMs like Jonathan has to come on the channel. So if you haven't got a DM for me, that you might be on that short list. But it's like you just said, man. Like Patty, he always talks about not bringing family into this. He said that with Ilya Taporia, like he's not going to bring family into anything. And then he says he couldn't grapple somebody off. Like Dan couldn't grapple somebody off his mom. Like I was like,
yeah,
what the heck, man, like you're being a hypocrite of yourself a little bit there, right? Like what are we doing? Like that's too far.
Yeah, that's definitely out of pocket, man. Like I said, if anyone was to say that to me, that's definitely on site. Like, yeah, but fuck, bro, that's his beef.
Yeah, that is his beef for sure. And I think if Justin beats Patty on Saturday night, and Dan can get a win next week over BSD, they might make that fight, man. That's a realistic fight. If Dan wins
Yeah.
and loses, I think that's a very realistic fight. So it'll be cool to see how that plays out. But another one I've been asking everybody, Jonathan, that's in my rapid fire questions. Obviously, once again, I already asked you, what's an ideal 2026 look like for you? Another question that I've been loving to ask the fighters that have been on here during this time frame is what is a UFC fight that you want to see this year, but it doesn't involve yourself?
Man, I would love to see Ilya Arman or Ilya and Islam. Either of those two, man. I'll pay big, like I'll definitely be tuning in for those. Yeah, just to see Ilya back in there, man. I think that it's been said before. He's such a unicorn that every time that dude fights, everyone's going to be tuning in. He's an absolute superstar, and he does a lot of special things in the cage that the minor details that most people don't pick up on. You can see he's fucking elite.
Yeah, he's very elite, and I think he is very good for the sport. I would imagine that he's probably going to be on the White House card against maybe the winner of tomorrow night. I'm not sure. That's just a guess for me, but that dude just has that touch of death right now. If he touches you and you're not defended at all, then obviously you're going to end up like what happened to Charles. Unfortunately, I haven't seen somebody do that to Charles Oliveira before, but Elliot just has that going for him right now, man. So he's got to ride that unicorn like he's while you can, because the fight you only have that prime for so long, So you got to really be whenever you do have that steam behind you. So I like that pick right there, man. I'd love to see those two guys fight. I think that's one of those fights right there. That's a mega fight, and we don't know what's going to happen. I think sometimes you get these mega fights, and it's very one-sided, and it's pretty obvious who's going to win. So I think those are two fights, though, that we really don't know what's going to happen. So I absolutely agree with your picks right there. I think those are probably my top two as well. So I love that, brother. But I guess my next one, Jonathan, you're obviously about to fight, in your backyard again. So I want to ask you, obviously you've got a huge career ahead of you in the UFC. Is there a city that you have your eye on specifically? Like, if I'm not fighting here in Sydney or if I'm not fighting in Australia, that I'd like to fight in this city one day?
Yeah, I think the MSG, man, like to fight in that stadium, it's got so much history, dude. Absolutely 100% on top of my list. It'd just be incredible. Yeah, I would love to do that. But I'm just going to make a bit more of a name for myself, put a few statements out this year, and then who knows, hopefully the UFC brass can tee that up for me.
Absolutely, man. And have you ever been to MSG or been in the United States before?
I've been to the United States once when I fought in Contender Series, but outside of that, man, I'm not really that well traveled. That was the first time I was fighting outside of my own country, my own state, actually, to be honest. So, yeah, these are all new learning experiences. Even fighting in Sydney, although I fought in last year, that was the first time fighting in another state in Australia.
Wow, that's amazing. Obviously, you did get the win on the Contender Series, so you have fought in Vegas before. But I was at MSG a month ago. Bro, it's beautiful, man. I think it's something that every combat sports athlete, they should be able to experience that. And like you said, if everything goes according to plan, the UFC usually goes there for the pay-per-view in November. So if you rack up a few wins, like that's a realistic goal, man. I would love for you. That'd be so cool to get back on here and replay that clip, and you're on that MSG card in November. Let's
make it happen.
Stack up a few wins and fight at MSG later this year?
100%, brother. Even if it's not just this year, maybe to be on the main card and eventually main event it, that would be incredible. But that's, as you know, all fighters work towards it, but only some make it happen. But I think I can do it, man.
That's sick as fuck. New York is so cool. I just got engaged there last month. I was there with my family. It's an awesome city. So I hope for guys like you who haven't been in New York before, I hope you get to experience that soon because it really is an awesome city, bro. That's sick as fuck. But now my next one for you, I got Jonathan. If Paramount came to the UFC and they're like, we're making a tag team division like the WWE, but obviously you guys really fight. It's not that fake shit like WWE is, right? No offense if you watch WWE, but I'm not with that. If they came to that, Paramount's like, hey, we're not signing the contract with you, Dana, unless we have a tag team division. So I want to ask you, Jonathan, who would be your tag team partner in the UFC?
Who are we talking? Any weight division? Are you talking open?
It could be open. It's open.
Oh, okay.
You can have a few though.
Ooh, got me on the
You
spot
can have
here.
different tag team partners if you want to like put like a list together or something like that.
Let's go Tom Aspinall. I've got to go for him. He's the man. But after that, I'll probably go Derek Lewis just for the vibes after the fights, just so we can get out and party a little bit.
So what if I told you, John? This is really off topic. It's really not, but it really is. It's not in here beside me. It's in another house right now. What if I told you I caught Derek Lewis's cup last summer at the event? What's your thoughts
I'd,
on that?
what would I say? I'd say, bro, why are you keeping that shit? You probably still have some pubes in there.
No, I made sure to stay far away from that, lad. We're not getting the nose. We're not getting anything through there. As far as I'm concerned, though, it was clean. But yeah,
That's good, man. Might be worth a bit of money someday. You know, clip him throwing it out and clip yourself trying to catch it. That's cool, man.
Oh, I've got the picture. I'm gonna send this to you after. I'm gonna pull it up whenever I make the clip of this and I post it for a reel. I'm gonna put me holding his cup in between me and you. But I'll send
Maybe
you the
drinking
picture.
a beer. Drink a beer out of it.
Oh my god. Done that, bro. You know, I would have blown up already if I would have done that. You know what I'm saying? I probably should have just taken the hate, you know. Sometimes you got to get some haters to get to the top. So I probably should have done that looking back. Everybody would have been pumped.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's a bit of a. Some people might draw the line with that.
Yeah. I've gotten some backlash on that. Some people are like, "Oh, that's cool as fuck." Other people are like, "You're fucking crazy, bro. You're so weird." But I'm like, "Hey, like he threw it literally straight to me, like straight to me." So like, he didn't pick me out in the crowd, but it came right to me. It was kind of hard for me to like get out of the way of it or something. So I'm like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna grab it. I'm gonna grab it." So that's awesome. Do you have anybody else besides Tom Aspinall, Derek Lewis, any non-heavyweights that you'd pick to be your tag team partner?
Well, look, if I was to really do this, I'd probably go all the Aussies, get Volk, Jack Dalla, a couple of the other boys. Quillen's killing it at the moment. He's another killer. Yeah, if we'll get a 5-man team, myself, Jack Dalla, Volk, Quillen. Who else we chucking in there? Let's go one more. Jimmy Crute. And then Jimmy Crute on there with me, my man, Jimmy Crute.
Yeah, that's unfortunate that Jimmy's not fighting next week now. I hate that because that was going to be such a banger of a fight. It's a lot with Dustin Jacoby.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Jimmy was looking so good, man. I just seen him the week before, and he was fucking absolutely smashing it. But these things happen, you know, and they all happen for a reason. And I'm sure he will be back stronger than ever. I can guarantee it. I know he will be. He's doing all the right things at the moment.
For sure. And I'm glad he's found a love for the game again. You know, I know he lost it for a little bit, and that's tough to go through as an athlete. So it's good to see that he loves the game again. He's going to get after it. Wishing him a speedy recovery, obviously, as well. But my last one I got for you, Jonathan, I mean, this is probably an obvious answer because of you've got a fight next week. So we're going to say you have to pick somebody outside of Oban. But who is the last fighter in the UFC that you would want to be stuck in the elevator with?
Ooh. At the moment, probably Conor McGregor, man. Like, as much as I love him and all the things that he's done in the past, he'll be bouncing off the elevator walls, talking your ear off. Yeah, let's go with that.
I could definitely see that. That's a great reasoning behind that too. I'm glad he didn't just fling his name out there because it's Conor McGregor. He actually gave some reasoning behind that. Yeah, he would probably be on the phone with somebody or he'd be with his group and he'd probably just talk the whole elevator ride from, floor 50 to floor 1 probably on there. So that's a valid answer right there. I like that from him. See, he's thinking outside the box right here, guys. Jonathan's giving some good answers. He's like he came prepared tonight, y'all. But
thinking inside the elevator, brother.
Yeah, no kidding, for sure. But Jonathan, I have unfortunately gotten to my final question. I ask every single fighter that has a fight coming up. What's your final message to the fans to tune in next weekend to watch you get the dub over Oban Elliott at UFC 325?
Yeah, guys, just make sure you tune in. I can guarantee you're going to have a good one. Don't get popcorn once this fight starts. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to be kicking off the prelims. So make sure you've got your TV set for that because it's going to be a banger. Make sure you follow me, Jono_Mika. I put a little bit of fishing content and things outside every now and then. Obviously, still just getting started. Hard to put out good stuff while I'm preparing for a fight, but I've got some things in the works.
That's awesome, brother. And I did put his ad at the bottom, guys. It was playing throughout the interview. So make sure you guys go follow him. And Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us here tonight, man. Good luck next weekend. Me and you will be in touch during this time. But we can't wait to watch you step back in there after 11 months. It's going to be a banger, bro. Can't wait to get you back on here afterwards. We'll do some fun content. Maybe we could rank catching different fish or something like that. We got some big stuff in the works. But until next time, man, we appreciate you getting on here, and we'll see all of you
My
guys
man.
next Fox Sports. Go watch you get the W next week. We're starting it off right and laying down under. See you next Saturday. Peace.